Call the meeting to order. Is Pete on?
Pete is on.
Okay.
Where are the people? Wasn't there people who were coming in?
Not
There was
talking.
a blonde lady who was.
I talked.
Well, okay,
All right.
Just had a
So,
question about athletic procedure.
right?
okay. So, are there any questions or comments from the floor, either in person or virtually?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to reports then. Student representative report. Take it away.
Okay, so for the last couple of weeks, we've had plenty of activities. One of the most notable, Spirit Week. It was a huge success. All the students loved it. Spirit Week is always a fun time to be in Canajoharie High School, and it's just the same thing this year. An example would be our class competition. All around, we've seen a lot of support for that in each class. But I mean, typically the senior class wins and they all support each other, and so the majority of students in the senior class participated, and so it was an absolute blowout, and that was just a great thing to be part of. The homecoming game for
Can I
football.
ask you a question about that?
Yes.
The senior class won the class competition. Was that with other
Between the-
classes?
Yeah. So as in the junior, sophomore, and freshman classes,
Oh, okay.
they have a little class competition where, for example, they'd have to wear a certain color and a certain item as an accessory, and so the seniors had to wear black and crowns, and so you see kids. My friend group, for example, we goof around with it and we wore black morph suits and Burger King crowns and stuff like that. So it's people participate in all the different ways, and it's a great access to creativity and whatnot. So
And who was the judge and who won?
the student council went around to the first period classrooms and they marked down the number of students participating,
Okay.
and then they compared. They all added them together and to see which class won.
All right, thank you.
So the homecoming game. On the field, I couldn't really be part of the stand, but based on my observations, there was so many people there, and it was a great thing to come back to. Especially, this is a real homecoming with it being 3 years in the making, so it was a great thing to be part of. Just to add a little bit in there, Cougars won the game 34-0, so that was great.
What is your overall record?
That's not
34-0.
Yeah. One more win tomorrow for senior night. So the students have been very excited for the start day. Unfortunately, due to the weather, that's been postponed a little bit, but nonetheless, obviously, they don't enjoy that part too much. But all in all, they're just so excited for the start day. So it is what it is. Everyone understands the weather. So
And that's tomorrow?
that was supposed to be tomorrow, but just recently it was delayed because of the impending weather. So up next, the homecoming dance. That was a smashing success. According to the student council, right around 150 students showed up. Everyone had an absolute blast, and having access to the gym and the outside pavilion to be COVID compliant while still enjoying the time with their friends. It was a great time overall. We're hoping that this will open the door for more events, fundraising events in the future. In 2 weeks, in the following weeks, we have a junior class dance where they're hosting a Halloween dance. And so, as part of Ski Club, they also mentioned the idea of hopefully trying to get one in the works. So all in all, we're just seeing that having such a successful night there, we're hoping that it'll provide a way in for other activities such as that. Senior night for the varsity football team is this Friday night, tomorrow. We're all super excited for it. The student council planned a pink out game, so it's to support breast cancer research and whatnot. So the majority of the team are going to try to wear pink. So some people have pink socks, pink undershirts. If they don't, us captains, we used to provide a pink wrist tape. That way they can all have something. And so student council members are going to be walking around the stands asking for donations and whatnot. And we're going to try to get as many spectators as possible to wear the pink as well. So that's just a nice little thing. One thing overall that we've noticed with back in person learning every day is that everyone has nothing but good news to say about it. People understand the masks and whatnot, the socially distanced requirements, because that's just a necessary evil at this point. Nobody's going to enjoy that particularly, but they definitely prefer that over the alternative, which is staying at home, being alone, and being distracted in their typical home environment. Having an actual learning environment, such as school, it's much better, and it leads to much more success in the classroom overall. So the last item is a request from the senior class. I don't want to be coming in here in my second meeting and asking for anything too much, but so this was something that was brought up to me, And so the senior class is requesting to leave the school for their lunch period. They have a 20-minute study hall before or after their lunch, and then they have their lunch. So there's a 40-minute block where the students are asking to go out to lunch, whether it be Subway, McDonald's, stay local, somewhere in there. So they feel that they have earned this privilege, and they understand that when it comes to certain responsibilities, such as passing classes, owning no work, and returning to school on time. They also understand that they need to be to school before, like they need to be there on time to begin with the day, and they also need to return back. So in addition to this privilege benefiting the senior class by showing that we are responsible young adults, they also believe that it could have a positive impact on the COVID regulations because they will be decluttering the lunchroom. For example, in my lunch, it's a packed lunch where if it weren't for the seating arrangements outside, we wouldn't have enough room. The last time that it was raining out, we had the hallways basically filled with students, and obviously that's not ideal either. It's just because we have so many band students and orchestra students that period is taken up by their band classes, and then that's the only option for the lunch. And the majority of these students are seniors, so if we were to open up that door for the senior students to have that opportunity, we believe that it would also be a more COVID-compliant atmosphere. So that's just something that I was asked to put out there. So I don't know the process for this, but I was hoping to ask for that on behalf of the class.
Do you have anything, or?
I mean, Evan and I talked about it. A couple of seniors approached me. I think it's a good idea. I think these kids, I think they're a really responsible group of young men and women. I think they've had a really rough go at high school, and I think this would be, a nice little bonus that would help them enjoy their senior year even more, give them back a little something for everything that they lost.
How will you keep track? How would you keep track of kids who are coming in and out and knowing whether or not they don't owe work, they're up to date on what they need to be up to date, passing all their classes to be able to have this privilege?
So 2 ways. We have a sign-in, sign-out sheet. So it'll be separate from the regular sign-out book. It'll be a daily senior log. So it'll just keep track of the seniors. So they'll sign in. They'll sign out when they go out to lunch. Signing in is very easy because if they're late to the next class, that gets marked in attendance, and I'll let all the teachers know to alert me if students are late to class. In regards to keeping track, same thing. Failure list comes out every 5 weeks, so it wouldn't be something we'd be able to keep track of, I think, reasonably every day. But every 5 weeks, I look, this person's failing one or more. Okay, they're temporarily unable to do that. They get it off the failure list. They earn the privilege back to go out to lunch.
And if they, somebody comes in late a couple times or 1 or 2 times, they lose the privilege?
Correct, and that's something I'd meet with the seniors and explain, hey, we're doing this, you've asked me to do this, here are the expectations for it. And we also talked about, I talked to legal about it, just drawing up some kind of legal contract, just, disavowing the school of whatever happens when they leave, and all seniors and parents would be expected to sign that before they earn the privilege to go out.
And so, yeah, I was gonna say the kids who drive, because if you're under 18, you can't have a bunch of people in the car, so I don't know what it is. I just know there's something with that.
Yeah, so the legal presented basically to us, because I did speak to our lawyer about it, and she basically just said that she would have a kind of a generic form letter that she would adapt to this situation, that, again, parents, students would sign, and it would just disavow of, basically, once the kid signs out, whatever happens, they come back, and they're our responsibility again. If, God forbid, anything happens, you know, whether a kid just sneaks off or anything, not our responsibility, we alert the parents, and that's the end of it. So that would cover us on that end.
Any other questions or concerns?
We're not voting on this right now, right?
You don't have to, no.
No, I'd like to think about it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So this is October, so would you suggest we have a discussion about it at the next meeting then?
Yeah. I've lived through open campuses, and I mean, it's a lot to think about.
Okay.
You have to think about,
Is that everyone?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, so we'll have it on the agenda in November, and we'll have a vote at that point on whether to go forward.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, guys.
All right.
I have one question about the dances. Did you have the dance outside?
We had it inside in the cafeteria, socially distanced as per requirements, but we had in the cafeteria doors, they open up to the outdoor pavilion, so we had access to that.
Oh, that's nice. So the music went outside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
All right, well, thank you for your report, Evan.
And no slow dancing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you have to be 3 feet apart,
Yeah,
right?
much to the happiness of every parent in the district.
Yeah.
Any dancing that I do at this point in my life is slow. Okay, the next one on the agenda is COVID update.
Yes, just a few things, not necessarily COVID, but more federal grant related. The Arpa Grant, which was the second grant that we received from the federal government. We were able to get in early. Leah did a great job with it. We were able to have the parent open night. We did it with the board. So we got it in early, and it was sitting there. So I reached out to our local legislators and just said, we're running programs, we're doing things every day, and we don't have any funds, or we haven't anything we've looked at yet. And we're expecting to use money for teachers and facilities and after-school programs. So within the next day, actually, we got a kickback that we had to fix a few things, which I expected, because no one's done this before. So we got that kickback, we fixed it, we sent it back. I sent an email out today. Leah, just to give you a heads up, they sent us back the email and said that the person that was reviewing it is gone from the department now. So the new person is reviewing it, and they promised they would get through it for Monday. And they said one comment under $5,000 for the equipment, the furniture list has to go in another code. But they didn't think it would be anything else after that. So hopefully we hear back next week on that piece. We did receive an additional $9,500 for the Chromebooks. If you remember, we had an ECF grant. $7.1 billion was put out by the federal government for technology, and we put in our next round of Chromebooks for that. And they gave us $100,000 out of about $115,000. So was able to get us the next round of the new Chromebooks coming in for the next group of students, because we're up to that 3 or 4 year mark now. So that was definitely positive news there. Our testing begins, our official testing. We've been doing testing for athletes, and we've been doing testing for symptomatic faculty and staff. But we are now going to kick off our unvaccinated staff and faculty, or anybody else who wants to do it, starting tomorrow. We decided to do the faculty and staff on Friday, because since it's pool testing and we might not get it back for 24 hours, we have a fighting chance on a Sunday to figure out if 2 or 3 bus drivers or 2 maintenance people are down, to come up with a schedule to still open up school. If it happened on a Monday, we might find out Wednesday morning, for example, at 8 o'clock, and we might be stuck. So we figured that would be the best way to do it on Friday.
What is the turnaround for the?
They say 12 to 18 hours. If a pool has to be pulled because there's a positive in one of it, it could be another 12 hours. We hope that holds true, because that's the big piece in terms of turning it around. So if UPS picking up at 5 o'clock on Friday to get it out to Buffalo. It was supposed to be Syracuse, but they switched out to Buffalo because they have more personnel out there. So it's going to get out to Buffalo that night, and we will actually turn around the should be Saturday night.
So we don't have rapid response tests here?
No, it's going through Quadrant, and all the BOCEs are using the same, I guess it's got to be a PCR test. So hopefully we have it back by Sunday morning, and again, we have kind of a fighting chance to figure out a schedule if something did happen. We'll do the students, if any students, we send out a mailer to the parents. If they want to do testing, voluntary testing, to get back to us, we'll start that November 1st. We're going to do that on Mondays, because asymptomatic, we're trying to alleviate quarantine. It's 48 hours. I know we won't get the test results back until Tuesday, because those will go out at 12 o'clock, so we'll do the kids in the morning. We have a fighting chance of only maybe 1 day of contact tracing, as opposed to 2 or 3 days of contact tracing. So we're trying to time that up as much as we can to lower the quarantine. So we'll see what that looks like. And then HFM BOCES is looking into buying the PCR machines, as I mentioned before. They finally got a distributor. It's been very tough. We had a meeting today with the superintendents, and they've been going around and around to different companies, and they kind of keep getting pushed off by salesmen, because the counties and the states are usually the ones who purchase them. HFM BOCES took this grant over, and it was usually the counties who did it. So I think they've got an in now to a distributor to a manufacturer, and they're looking to hopefully seal that deal. And I think we're on the docket for 2 of them, so we can put one down the middle school, elementary school, and we can put one up here. So then we would be able to test the faculty, staff, the students, the test backs, and the symptomatic, which is an awful big undertaking, what we're doing. But I think it would be the best thing for us to kind of keep things moving and the train going so we can get students back to school, people safe, and checking out how people are doing. We're still getting cases. It seems to be more the younger than the older this year. It flipped. If you remember last year, it seemed to be more of the high school range, and it's now going more to the elementary side. One good thing is we're not hearing anybody getting, massively sick. They're getting sniffles and flu-like symptoms, and they're coming back after they're all set. So that's a good thing from the standpoint of that. But we are getting a lot of younger kids, and it's not one set area. It's a 2nd grade class, 3rd grade class, a 4th grade class, a 5th grade class, and it's kind of sporadic all over the place. So just keep our eye on it. And our quarantine was up to 82. We're down after tomorrow down to about 20. So we're ranging in that 10 to 30 range, and hopefully that continues to drop. I guess is the best way to put it. I guess the biggest thing we're trying to impress upon people is if you're sick, stay home. And if you have symptoms, stay home and evaluate the situation, and then take it from there. A lot of the cases we hear, yeah, he had slight symptoms in the morning, but we didn't think it was much, and they came in, and then a day and a half later they got tested. So it is frustrating though to find testing sites that can turn around tests quickly. 19 months later, I can't believe we're in this boat that the school is now going to take on all of that. But we did find a place in Herkimer that it is turning them around within
45 minutes.
a couple of hours, but now that's being pushed because guess where everyone's going? So Gloversville was that site, and now Herkimer's that site. So they got their hands on PCR machine as well. So we'll see, kind of how that goes. So that's for the most part the update. So good point. Look at the nation. We're down about 50% in cases. We were at 175,000 cases on average, a 7-day average a month ago. We're at 88,000 cases now. Hospitalizations go from 96 to 60,000. So it looks like the trend is going down. Let's hope that continues.
But it seems like the trend in Montgomery County is going up. If you those numbers, we have 4 times the amount than we had this time last year.
Right. We always seem to lag, which is odd. Remember New York City and Albany, then we got it. And then
It's
the
the
wave
rural
happened.
area. It's just because we have less people.
So let's hope it's the lag, and then it continues to go down. But we'll have to just gauge it and see what happens. If there's clusters, we'll work with the Department of Health and figure out if there's a cluster someplace. So far, nothing on that case.
Okay, any other questions, comments? I just want to go back to the seniors going out to lunch and request that you put together the criteria, how are you going to assess their, whether they can continue. Also, we'd like to see a copy of the release form that they'll be asked to sign, and if any comments that Aaron would like to put in about, the viability or lack thereof in terms of the school district, so that we can adequately consider it at the November meeting.
Definitely, yeah.
Agreed?
Yep.
Okay? Thank you.
Got it.
Okay, so no other questions. Thank you, Nick. We'll move on to the approvals. I would like to entertain a motion for consent agenda.
Motion.
Are there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move right down. September 9th minutes. Any questions, comments there? Okay, September 21st. Okay, treasurer's report. I will not make a comment, I promise. Bills? Anything? Okay, Gloversville School District agreement, can we just get a quick synopsis?
It's a new placement. It's short-lived. It is a day treatment program that is run with Gloversville's middle school and St. Mary's. So they provide wraparound services for students, mental health services right within the program. So this is a new placement for a student.
Okay. Any questions there? Okay, management response letter, Nick, can you just give us a quick,
Yeah, actually, Leah, this is just
Leah?
pretty much the preliminary.
Yeah, it's just the management letter that the auditors put in the audit report from last month, and it's just our response back to the comments.
Okay. Any questions, comments there? Thank you.
Good auditors, remember, so it's pretty clean.
Okay, the secret resolution,
These are the two resolutions that we need just as the next step to finalize the capital project. You know, we voted last month on taking the money from the reserves and then set the amount. And now these are the two next phases, that's pretty much it. And then after we approve this, it's official. And then what we'll do is we'll start to get renderings and drawings and things of that, make up a newsletter where we talk to communications, and we'll get that out in November for the December vote.
then the capital vote, capital project vote proposition.
That's
Yep.
the actual proposition that has to be published prior to the vote.
Right, and we're doing it December 7th?
And the question I have is, it says that there will be a special meeting and vote. Does that mean we have to have a board meeting?
No, the vote is the special meeting.
Okay. Any other
Same thing we
questions?
do on a budget, we'll handle it at the end of the night.
Any other questions on that? Okay, athletic placement policy request. There are 3 of them. Do you want to go through them quick?
Yeah, there's a few for, one for JV basketball, who's boys basketball, who's, you know, without getting the name, student's outstanding athlete, and just a quick story, a student that was having trouble in school last year, this year has totally made a complete switch, was failing subjects, is failing 0 now, and just, the kid is an outstanding athlete, so to play at the modified level would be too rare for some kids, so he's definitely the next level type. Same thing with I think this is the JV girls one. Yes, JV, same thing. Just simply outstanding athlete, excellent student, who's just, again, if you play that modified, would be fair for the modified level. And same thing here for bowling is usually common. They have very good bowlers in 7th and 8th grade, who just, and with their placement, they have to make sure that they get in a certain range to make the team. So when they do the tryouts, that'll dictate the pace that they've been, you know, are the top 5, top 6. That's pretty much it.
Okay, any questions on any of those? All right, then the final thing is additional hours compensation. I read this and I can't understand it.
Yeah.
I need some help.
This is something, you know how we have some positions that are working in our district but are from outside placements. So for example, the new guidance counselor position down the elementary school is not our employee, but they work for an organization that we contracted out to. But those people are in our building all the time with our kids, so we want to offer them training and curriculum stuff. For example, conscious discipline training. We want to make sure they get trained in conscious discipline. So if they stay after, we would pay anybody a certain stipend amount to stay after to do that. We just have to have, you know, in the contract, board resolution to say that we can do that and pay those people but they're not our employees. That's why we have to put this on them. But they're here every day, so we want to make sure that they're getting the training. You know, they're sitting with our students every day, and so does that kind of make sense? So this is just a resolution that Aaron drew up to make sure that we have it covered, that they're not our employees, but this is how we would compensate them.
And what kind of money potentially are we talking about
$20,
here?
$30 an hour, you know, it would be an hour each month, I think, for 6 months. This is all grant funded too, but.
Okay.
This would be the same as we would do for anybody else, but since they're outside contracts, we have to pay them different.
Okay.
Nick, are they
Questions
treated
there?
as 1099 employees?
Pete?
I'm sorry, are they treated as 1099 employees, or do they become employees to get paid, or how will that work?
No, they're going through, I'll just say
It's not gonna go through payroll, it's gonna be 1099.
1099.
Okay.
Turn it off, there, okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, any other questions then? Are we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to personnel.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
What happens with these, you gotta follow it, there's one who resigns, and then gets the job, and then one who resigns, gets the job, so it's a lot of that. It's the placement of, if you remember, we added the kindergarten and the 5th grade, so some people who had jobs already resigned from those positions to go in there, and then the resignation is there, then the placement is there. So that's pretty much, if you follow the line, a lot of them are.
Can I first ask, could we have a consent agenda for these?
If you would like to include it in your previous consent agenda, you can do that.
Could we do a separate consent agenda for this? Would that be agreeable? Do I have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll go ahead. What is your pleasure on this? Do we want to go through each one? Have people read it? Are there any questions of any of them?
Do you want me to go through each one and just briefly talk about each one? So
Yeah,
you
why
can
don't
kinda
we
get through it?
just do that?
So the updated appointment number 1, you see the first one?
Yep.
This is an appointment that we had already, but she was just being moved to another position. She was already working for us, but she moved into that 2nd grade position. Make sense? So we just made sure we had the updated appointment.
And also, we learned after we appointed her previously that she had received tenure in her previous district, so she's eligible for a shorter tenure period here.
If she's, yeah, right. She gets 3 years instead of 4 years. This is accepted resignation. So this one is Christy Bettinelli, who was in the AIS position, and now if you look at the next one, she's now moving to the 5th grade position. Does that make sense? And she was already working with the 5th grade with the AIS stuff, so very familiar with the students, and she applied for the position.
When did they already start in those positions? Like,
They just, yeah, we just moved them. They're already kind of, she was already working with them anyway, so.
no, I know, but is there have she started in the classroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
She's still providing AIS because what I did was I just changed, she's just providing the AIS for 5th grade because we're departmentalizing. So she basically is doing the same thing. She's in a 5th grade position, but because we departmentalized, she's doing the ELA AIS.
Provides another homeroom.
Yeah, provides another homeroom.
Accept resignation, this is Stacy Baker, who had a position, but if you look at the next one, she put in for the position that was open. So she resigned and went to the position that reopened. If you look at the next one, this is the same thing. She resigned from her current position, which the last one is taking, and now takes the classroom lead for kindergarten. So,
What about that special ed teacher?
Yeah, I skipped over it. That's a new
oh,
hire.
I'm sorry.
We actually went out and interviewed people outside of the
Is this the
district.
same Tammy Dickman?
No, it's not. Ironically, isn't that funny?
I was gonna say,
I was gonna say.
It was funny, but I thought the same thing. But no, totally different.
Okay, thank you.
So sorry, we'll go back to the Anthor, she was the AIS position, but we talked about last time that we went out and got special ed, so we can use both services. So we kind of got a home run out of this one in terms of both sides. They're gonna work with AIS and special ed, so that's that position. That makes sense so far? I know it's a lot. And back to the aides, one fell out, one took the other position, and then we appointed. Next one was the math positions, we talked last time. We posted again, we didn't have anybody. The other option was to do a virtual, and I would try not to do virtual if we couldn't. Todd said he would stay on and be available. We will repost this in November and December, and hopefully get some fallout of any other positions or graduations from colleges that might be coming up in December and January, and to see if we have another open, a person that can come in who's math certified.
have we sent out to any of the, say, SUNY schools, to their education department saying
Yes.
we're looking?
I did, I actually did St. Rose, I did Oneonta, and I did University of Illinois. So I said we have a position open.
Yeah.
So hopefully by December, they have somebody to place, right? I hope, so. Appoint temporary math AIS position. This is the position that I talked to you before about. We had this person set to go up at the high school. We didn't have anybody, so we kind of conditionally appointed him under the auspice that the that the board would approve it. So he was kind of like a sub up until that point. I was fortunate enough to go in to evaluate the primary teacher's evaluation last week, and so it happened to be perfect that he was in that class. So I was able to see him two different occasions. So everything looks good. They're working well together. So far so good. Appoint long-term substitute.
Can I just ask, why is it that we're asking him to be excluded from consideration for tenure or probationary appointment?
That's a temporary position.
Because it's a temporary grant position.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't a 4-year tenure track. This is just the 1 to possibly 2 years, depending on if we decide to keep this position.
And if we were to fill the position that Todd Jones is in, that would be the same thing.
That makes sense? Yeah, some of these, remember, were grant based, and they were we're appointing them 1 year at a time, but they can be up to 2 to 3 years, because we don't know at the end of the year if we want to reorganize and say, geez, this model isn't working, let's maybe look at this model instead.
And he's agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Appoint long-term family consumer science. No one applied for the position. Actually, we had one we called, hasn't called back, hasn't returned any phone calls. This one's very hard to fill. We actually went way back to the former family consumer science teacher too, but not interested, and I can understand. So Stephanie's been our mainstay person. Whenever we need somebody, she steps up to the plate a little bit. So, and Taylor will be working with her. Appoint E&L. This is one. Remember, we had to go from 0.4 to 1.0 because we had new students who moved into the district. No one else applied. This was the person that was in the current 0.4 position. Appoint advisor. National Honor Society. So Patty Prime doesn't have to come back and do it again. Advisor resignation. Just resigned from the International Club, full-time position. Feel like you can handle that. Mentor resignation. Nicole resigned only to appoint somebody new who we thought was a better fit, and they talked and thought they were a better fit. Appoint student mentors. As you remember, we put our student mentoring program together the last couple of years. These are the student mentors now. Appoint a coach. There's our swim coach for the winter. And appoint a sub-monitor. We've been, again, knock on wood, we've been getting very lucky with substitute bus drivers, monitors, and food service helpers.
So Ken Sullivan's coming back as his varsity swimmer?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Okay, any further questions on any of these? Pete? You good?
Nothing? Good.
we have, just to give you a heads up, we have one more AIS position who we're filtering through 2 or more applications. I think we have a couple good leads, which is great because it looked bare and barren for a long time. We've got a couple positions built in there, so that might be another one. I might throw you a text only because of timing. I wish it worked out, but it doesn't always work out in terms of the timing of it. So we'll see what we do with that one once we get somebody approved or get somebody who accepts the job. We just have to interview 1 or 2 more people right for tomorrow or Monday. So the market is interesting. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of jobs opening, and there's a lot of places people can go, and it's the buyer's market right now, I guess is probably the best way to put it, which puts us in a different situation. Remember, these positions are grant; these aren't coming from general fund, so that's a good thing as well, I guess. So that's it. I think that's all the positions. Oh, and there'll be a 2-hour monitor because the dominoes. Somebody left the 2-hour monitor to take the 5.5-hour paid position, so there'll be a 2-hour monitor we have to apply. Sometimes they're easier to fill than the long-term ones because parents like a couple-hour job or something and just hang out for lunchtime and get around with their kids at the same time, make a few dollars. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, so all in favor of the appointment consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, on old business, we have the Super Valid program, just to kind of review it and What happened is we had contacted them and said we were not interested in continuing because the price, but mostly because we found it was, as opposed to a year ago when we thought it was really good and helpful, and this year people found it very cumbersome and overly detailed and not very user-friendly. So I had several conversations with Bob Hartz, who's the outreach guy from Super Eval, and subsequently I had a meeting with him via Zoom, which Patty and I were both participating in. And what they've agreed to do is to simplify the Super Eval program for superintendent evaluations. And the way that we talked about doing is continuing to have the 5 different areas, but only have a summary sentence or two, which now exists, and then have the ability to rate the superintendent in those overall areas, and then provide supporting documents and comments, which can then be shared with the superintendent. They said that they would customize the document for us to be used in that way, and also that the price would be $0, which is affordable for us.
Can you use your stipend?
So anyhow, that's basically what transpired. Patty, you want to add anything?
No, that sounds pretty good. Yep.
I'm glad they were open to suggestions, which was great.
No, and actually what they talked about is this, they've gotten similar feedback from some other school districts, and they said that they were grateful that we had reached out and given our thoughts and comments about it, and that they might be, offering this to other districts as well, in terms of a more concise and streamlined way to do the evaluation. So any questions, comments?
I can't wait.
Okay, and then also obviously in addition to the 5 standard areas, they'll continue to have the area about goals and evaluating how the goals were achieved or not, and so forth.
Thank you for reading that.
Okay, so if I see no other discussion, I would entertain a motion to contract, well,
I'm sorry.
There's new business.
Go ahead. You were still going on
Sorry.
that.
I would entertain a motion to get back to Super Eval and agree to proceed with this new format.
Sure.
Motion.
Take your. Off,
Yep.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
It's like he's sitting right in the room, isn't it? Goodbye, Dave.
Okay, so then we have new business, discuss presentation topics. Basically, as you know, we have second meetings, starting in January at this point. And we usually have a topic that is the subject of the second meeting that is not a business, topic. And so I would just ask that people think about it between now and the November meeting. And at the November meeting, we'll have a point on the agenda for people to suggest topics for discussion for the second meetings, and we can decide on ones that would be for January, February, March, April, May.
I have a question.
Yes.
So are we looking for presentations from students, faculty, administration, in general? What is it that you're thinking?
Well, the whole idea of the second meeting is to have discussions on issues and topics and concerns that are not business concerns, that are about directions for the school district, about, challenges for the school district, about new ideas for the school district. Things that are not, typical of business. It's not about hiring. It's not about, things of that nature.
No, the reason why I'm asking is I'm thinking about our items that we were discussing earlier.
Okay.
And I was wondering if this would be a discussion topic, would be to have a report out of what do we offer enrichment-wise K through 12? You know, that kind of thing, like, you know, what do we offer, like, maybe we offer big basketball, or, you know, things like that, or Odyssey of the Mind, or 4-H, or whatever, you know, those kinds of things, like, what are we offering as, that's in the district, and, you know, would that be an appropriate topic?
I think an appropriate topic would be anything that we agree collectively
Okay.
would be something we want to talk about. And, you know, that's not a routine business matter.
Okay.
Because that's the whole idea of the second meetings, was to give us a little time to just explore ideas and concepts and challenges that we don't have time to do in our regular business meeting. And to give it the full thought and discussion that we would like it to have, you know, so that we can really have a full discussion of it, and we don't feel constrained, like, oh, we got these other things on the agenda to do.
And I think, piggyback on, like Jan said last year, and the students went from mentoring, I mean, the teachers.
Yeah.
That's, I think, anytime we can do more of that would be great. Yeah.
I just don't wanna make more work for people either, so that's
Yeah,
why,
it's a
you know,
catch-22.
yeah, so.
But, you know, when we get these out by December, you know, we can, you know, like, for example, I would suggest doing a data evaluation, right? I mean, the data we got back from the testing last year, so maybe do that in January, so we give everybody else a heads up on February, March, April, to give them 2 months to get ready, right? 3 months to get ready. So,
And, you know, following up on what we talked about in the self-evaluation, maybe we could have a meeting about dashboards, how they work, how to, you know, make them most productive. I mean, you know, just anything like that, that
Okay,
would not be a normal business meeting.
so you're looking for us to have those presentation topics, ideas to discuss at the next meeting?
Yeah, and then we can winnow it down so that we have one per month, from January through May. Okay? We good, Pete?
Yes.
All right. All righty, so, anything else on that? Okay, then, if not, I would entertain a motion to recess into executive session.
Is it needed?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Motion.
I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good evening, Dick. I'd like you to stay for this if you could.
Mhm.
What?
oh.
No, I just think. Come out of exec,
Motion.
all in favor?
You can't vote in exec, so you just have to.
What?
You can't vote in
We're
exec.
out of
You just
exec.
have to
Okay.
come
We do
out.
this every time, I think.
I would entertain a motion to go home.
Hour 20, not bad, hour 20.
Right now.